The day began with a kind of quiet that did not quite belong to the house, as if the morning itself was holding its breath in anticipation of something small yet meaningful. Darlene stood in front of the mirror, her fingers hovering near her face as though she were negotiating with her own reflection. She had never been someone who spent time wondering how she looked, and yet there she was, adjusting a strand of hair, smoothing a line that did not need smoothing, and examining the faint trace of makeup that felt both unfamiliar and strangely deliberate. From the doorway, Becky watched with a mixture of amusement and curiosity that only a sister could possess. She leaned against the frame, arms crossed, her presence as casual as her tone when she spoke. "Hey, you are all dressed up. You going to court?" Darlene did not turn immediately. She let the comment settle, then answered with a dry calm that carried years of practiced wit. "Unlike you, people get dressed up for other reasons than trying to beat a shoplifting charge." Becky smiled, unfazed, lifting her foot slightly as if presenting an exhibit. "The saleswoman said I could walk around in the shoes. I wanted to see how they felt on the sidewalk." Darlene glanced down, then back up, her expression unimpressed. "You are a criminal." Becky shrugged, unbothered by the accusation. "I am just trying to look nice for work. That is all." There was something softer beneath the teasing, something unspoken that lingered just long enough to be noticed. Becky tilted her head, studying her sister more closely. "That is so cute. You are trying to be a girl." This is obviously about her new boss. Darlene turned then, a hint of defensiveness slipping through. "You have a crush on your boss." "No. I am just trying to be a professional." She paused, then added with a touch of frustration. "All I did was put on a little makeup." Becky raised an eyebrow. "I heard the blow dryer." Darlene responded without hesitation. "I was blowing dust out of the smoke alarms." "Nice try. They are all here." The exchange ended the way it always did, balanced between affection and irritation, neither one willing to fully admit how much they understood the other. At the office, the atmosphere was entirely different, yet somehow just as familiar. The walls were covered with photographs that told stories without context, faces frozen in moments that invited judgment even as the people behind the desks insisted they were only reporting facts. Darlene sat at her desk, her eyes drifting across the collection of mugshots with a curiosity that was not entirely professional. "Do you ever worry that some of the people in these mugshots might be innocent?" Ben leaned back in his chair, comfortable in a way that suggested he had long ago made peace with questions like that. "People can think whatever they want. We are just reporting, not passing judgment." He tapped the title of the paper with a small, confident gesture. "The paper is called Lock Him Up." Darlene allowed herself a faint smile. "It is kind of judgy." Ben flipped through a stack of photos, stopping on one that caught his attention. "This one is kind of hot. Let us put her on the front page." Darlene glanced at the image, then back at him, her tone shifting into playful challenge. "So that is what you are attracted to? Blondes with most of their teeth?" Ben met her gaze directly, his expression steady. "I think you know exactly the kind of woman I am attracted to." For a moment, the room seemed smaller, the air more deliberate. "What are we doing?" Darlene said quietly. "I work for you. This would be complicated." Ben nodded, acknowledging the truth of it. "You are right. And as your employer, I cannot have you feel uncomfortable or pressured in any way." He leaned forward slightly, his voice lowering just enough to matter. "So you are going to have to make a move on me." Darlene blinked, caught between disbelief and reluctant amusement. "Do I look like a woman with most? Just do what you feel is right." She turned back to her desk, the corners of her mouth lifting despite herself. "I am going to pretend to work and hope for the best." A beat passed. Then Ben spoke again, almost casually. "You have got a Fuji apple sticker on your ass." Without turning, she replied, "I believe it is golden delicious." The silence that followed was awkward in the way that only new feelings could make it. "Can we just go back to work? This is getting too awkward." "Yes, I agree." Then, as if nothing had happened at all, She added, "Can I borrow your stapler?" "Yes." "Sure." And just like that, they returned to the safety of routine, even as something had quietly shifted beneath it. Across town, Dan sat surrounded by children who were far more certain about what they wanted from life, at least in the immediate sense. Lists were held up like declarations, each item chosen with care and optimism. "We made our Christmas list for you, Grandpa Dan. They are just suggestions. Do not get your hopes up." Another added quickly. Dan sighed, already aware of the inevitable disappointment. "You are getting underwear and a popcorn tin from the drugstore." The reaction was immediate. "So we are not getting anything we want. You really break my heart when you put it like that." But no. The laughter that followed carried a warmth that no gift could replace. In the garage, a different kind of conversation unfolded, one grounded in practicality but colored by dreams. "This is not a bike," Dan said, staring at the Vespa with suspicion. "This is what you feed to other bikes." "It is a classic Vespa," Peter insisted, his voice filled with quiet enthusiasm. Dan shook his head. "I do not fix foreign bikes." But the idea lingered, wrapped in images of distant streets and gentle motion, of a life that felt just slightly beyond reach. That evening, Darlene stood outside Ben's apartment, her confidence balanced by uncertainty. When he opened the door, his smile was easy, welcoming in a way that made everything feel both simpler and more complicated at once. "You look beautiful," she shrugged, deflecting the compliment. "I already slept with you, so let us just be cool." Inside, everything was arranged with intention. Ben gestured toward the floor. "Would you mind taking off your shoes?" Darlene hesitated. "I would rather not. It makes me feel shorter." "I would rather you would." She considered him for a moment, then relented. The dinner began with careful politeness, each action measured, each word chosen. But tension does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it builds quietly, in small differences that refuse to be ignored. "It is better to add salt at the table," Ben said. "Let me just add a little," Darlene replied. "I tried it in my mind, and I hate it. You cannot just grab something out of my hand like I am a child. I asked you to stir, not season. Why are you fighting with me?" "Because the only way you can enjoy yourself is by making me not enjoy myself." The truth landed between them, undeniable. Darlene stepped back. "I am getting my shoes. You cannot wear them in here." "I know." She moved toward the door. "Where are you going?" "Home. To cook in my shoes and salt everything." And with that, she left, not in anger, but in clarity. The next morning, the office felt different, quieter in a way that suggested something had been learned. "Are we going to talk about last night, or what?" Ben asked. "Not necessary. Last night was personal. This is business." He studied her, then nodded. "Can two people who both want control make something work?" Darlene met his gaze.